Merry Christmas, everybody. Now, this may be a belated review because, it's coming out literally a day after Christmas, but I feel like I want to talk about a very festive movie for me. Movie that whenever I see it, it just makes me think, wow, it's Christmas time. So let's talk about Die Hard. Now, Die Hard came out in 1988. It's directed by John McTiernan. It stars Bruce Willis as John McClane and the late, great Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber. The plot focuses on John McClane, a New York cop who goes to LA to see his wife at Nakatomi Plaza, but while in the middle of the party's interrupted by Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber, a thief posing as a terrorist who's trying to basically steal a ton of money from Nakatomi Plaza. So it's up to John McClane in order to stop him from basically getting away with over $600 million. So, what makes Die Hard so different from all the other action movies of its type? For one thing, the hero is just your average ordinary guy. True, John McClane he does look good, he's in good shape, but he just looks like a normal guy, and he kind of looks like he's balding a little bit, which is very interesting. Another thing that's interesting is that the hero, whenever you see like Commando or something, the hero pretty much just goes away with nothing but a flesh wound. In Die Hard, John McClane is severely messed up. Like, he gets bullets shot in his shoulder. He's got cuts all over. He's got cuts on him. He had to basically run through glass barefoot. One thing I do want to mention the fact is that for almost all of the movie, except for the opening, he's barefoot and he has to run through glass. And there's a scene in which he's pulling the glass out of his feet. That makes me feel really, really uncomfortable. And then, of course, Alan Rickman is probably one of the greatest movie villains of all time. Because with Hans Gruber, he's not just some dumb, generic 80s villain. He is smart and clever. Like, there's a specific scene in particular in which he meets John McClane. Sorry. And he's pointing a gun at him, and John McClane's like, "Hi, how you doing?" And Hans is thinking, wait, he hasn't seen my face. He doesn't know who I am. So he basically starts talking like he's one of the hostages, and he actually has an American accent. The American accent by Rickman, even though he is a good guy, I don't think it's one of his better accents. And even though he is attempting to be German, I still kind of think that he's a little bit British because, he is British after all. And eventually, John McClane gives him one of the pistols, and then Gruber immediately points it and tries to shoot, and then there's no bullets. So this shows the fact that John McClane, he's also smart too. And the supporting cast is actually not that bad too. Bonnie Hunt as John McClane's wife, Holly, she's pretty cool too. She's smart, she's calm and collective. She basically approaches Hans and tries to have in which they could be able to negotiate something like, hey, the hostages needs a place to sit. What if they have to go to the bathroom and we have a pregnant woman here and she needs to sit down? And then there's one guy, I completely forgot what his name was, but I pretty much like to define him as I pretty much like to see him as the embodiment of 80s yuppie culture, because literally the first time you see him, he's literally like snorting cocaine. Like, and then you immediately see him, like, after he's done snorting it, and you can definitely see by the way he moves his eyes and by the way he clenches his teeth, you can tell that he's done what that essentially is. And even when Hans Gruber's about to kill him, Bruce Willis, John McClane, who doesn't really like him all that much, he does attempt to try and save his life because he doesn't want anybody else to die. And of course, what also is really cool about this movie is that we got Carl Winslow here as one of the cops who helps McClane. Now, we like to believe that Reginald veljohnson, who played the cop here, he played the exact same role 4 years earlier in Ghostbusters as he played a cop there, and his role in Family Matters. Now, I heard an old rumor that apparently Family Matters was supposed to be a spin-off of Die Hard, which would have focused on Carl Winslow, but that, of course, didn't happen. So, that's what I like about this movie is that the hero is a lot more relatable. The action is amazing. The effects are great. When you get to see Bruce Willis jumping off the Nakatomi Plaza, you could see just this huge explosion behind him, and then just giant explosion afterwards. It's great. And there was the effect, when Hans Gruber dies, but The thing is, Alan Rickman actually performed that stunt, and they also did something very unique too. They pretty much said something about interesting about the scene is that when they were originally going to count down to 5, and then they would let him go so that way they could be able to prepare him. But one time, the take that they used in the film, they counted down to 3, then they let him go, and the look of shock on his face is genuine because he legitimately did not know that he was going to be dropped so soon, and that's what's really great about that. Now, what else can I talk about this movie? I guess I can talk about, like, the cons, essentially. One thing that happened when this movie was originally came out, a lot of people did not like it at all. Roger Ebert originally gave it 2 stars and said that the main cop guy, who was the principal in the Breakfast Club, was so terrible that he completely undermines the complete last half of the film. Now, I can understand what he meant by that, but that is a big complaint about how that cop is so stubborn that he literally is not willing to listen to one of his other officers, and that he just makes the situation so much worse. That is a major complaint. But when you really get down to it, it's just a nitpick. In fact, there's a lot of things that you can be able to nitpick about this movie too. But we try to look past these types of things because of how good of an action movie it is. But I do feel like it's a little bit overrated, a little bit, when people say that it's the best action film of all time, even though it is a good action movie. There's a lot of other movies that I think are better with action. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is better. I think the first 2 Terminator movies are better. I think Predator is actually better. First Blood, I think, is actually better than this. Now, that doesn't mean I'm dissing on Die Hard. I'm not. But I still think that there are better action movies than Die Hard. What else? Let's talk about the how this essentially started a franchise. 1990, we get Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Probably the weakest, probably one of the second to weakest film of the entire Die Hard franchise. No, the weakest because apparently they made a 5th one, but that never happened. Then we get probably the second best one, Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is cool because we get to see John McClane in his native land of New York. And we get to see him interacting with Samuel L. Jackson. And we get to see Jeremy Irons as the brother of Hans Gruber, which is cool. Live Free or Die Hard, I thought was okay at best, which is a bit... The PG-13 rating definitely does not help a lot, because, you know, you can't say as many swear words or whatever. In fact, I actually want to say the famous John McClane catchphrase, you know, "Be-ki-yay, mother..." But I can't finish it because, you know, my mom would kill me if I actually did swear. And then there's, of course, the age-old debate, is this movie a Christmas film? Well, yes, but no. I like to watch it around Christmas time because, you know, it's a fun movie to watch, because, you know, but it does have a lot of Christmas-type elements that people would say it is a Christmas movie. Like how there's a Christmas party going on. They play Let It Snow at the end of the credits. They play modern-day Christmas rap at the beginning with Argyle, you know, the limo driver, who I think is actually pretty cool, too. What else? The tape that he uses to tape the gun to his back, that was Christmas tape, you know. And there's, of course, you know, there's a lot of stuff that you could pretty much say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but a lot of people like to think otherwise. Like Bruce Willis, he stated during the roast of Bruce Willis, he stated that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, it's a Bruce Willis movie. But the writer, Stephen E. D'Souza, likes to think otherwise, saying that it is a Christmas movie, as you can tell by one of his tweets. Of course, you know, I'm not that good at editing, so I can't necessarily edit his tweet here, because, you know, like I said, I'm new at this, so I'm not entirely too adept of how to put stuff on screen and all the other stuff, so yeah. It's pretty much a split issue. Now, there are a lot of alternate Christmas movies that a lot of people think are Christmas movies, but they're not. I can name off, and if Die Hard's a Christmas movie, I can think of a couple of other movies that, if Die Hard's considered a Christmas movie, so is Lethal Weapon, Gremlins, LA Confidential, Eyes Wide Shut, Trading Places, and Batman Returns. But the idea is that it's an alternate Christmas movie. Like, Gremlins, it is a Christmas movie, yes, but it takes the idea of Christmas and puts it in a completely different way. But yeah, I still think that Die Hard is a good movie. I like to watch it around Christmas time, but I definitely can't say that it's not the best Christmas movie of all time. I think that award has to go to It's a Wonderful Life. I love that movie. Jimmy Stewart's great. In fact, I think I might actually review that movie in the future, but yeah. So overall, Die Hard, great action movie, great cast, great action suspense. So yeah, I definitely would have to say Die Hard, 9 out of 10. So yeah, I hope you guys are all having a happy holidays, happy whatever. Enjoy whatever you celebrate. Even if you don't celebrate the holidays, just have a nice day. And even though this is a belated Christmas episode, I still wanted to talk about it anyways, because, you know, I wanted to upload a Christmas video of sorts. So, yeah, this is actually my first time reviewing an older movie, that's not, like, 2018 or anything like that. So, I hope you guys really enjoyed this, video. I hope you guys are enjoying a wonderful times with your family and friends, and, as always, stay gold.